We're live.
Okay. Mm-mm.
Don't see it yet?
Nope. Now it just popped up.
Hello, everyone. There we go. Hi, everyone. We are so excited. I'm ecstatic. I'm trying to share now to my business page so that people can join us because I just feel like this is going to be amazing. When you have something that I feel like God gives you, that you have to be obedient. And so why not kick it off with some amazing ladies who can make sure that I'm doing this right? And that would be the relationship boosters. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Fabulous.
Good. Y'all look fabulous. Look at y'all. Y'all grinning. Y'all just looking fantastic. And so I have shared it on my page. Have you had a chance to share it
I
on your
just
pages?
did,
Okay.
so it should be there.
Okay. And I'm actually trying to get back to my mains. There we go. I need to see y'all, not the Facebook page. Okay, there we go. Because that's more in real time. And so everyone, let me just kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen over the next 31 days. It has been put on my heart to share with couples, families, friends, entrepreneurs, and just individuals who need to understand the importance of having healthy relationships, not just with others, but with themselves. And, so for the past 72 hours, I've kind of been tussling with this and trying to figure out, should I do this? Or do I want to do this? And I couldn't shake it. So I wanted to be obedient and follow through with it. And like I said, why not kick it off with the relationship boosters? So I'm going to let them tell you who they are, what they do, and then we're going to get into a really in-depth discussion so that you can walk away with some tips, one for yourself, but also for your mate or your loved one, so that you can be better in 2020. But you don't have to wait to 2020 to do it. You can start now, kind of get into that habit, and then just walk away feeling better about yourself and how you manage yourself. So, ladies, we have with us, guys, Dr. Kia James, Miss Monica Copord, and Carol Ann Trotman.
Hello.
Hi. So, who wants to start so people know who you are and what makes you all the relationship boosters?
Well, so we are a group of licensed therapists who specialize specifically in helping people build relationships. So that's couples. We help couples to connect, improve their sex life and intimacy and all that stuff. And we also help singles to be able to make sure they're positioning themselves for the relationships they want, and also learning how to like set boundaries and learning for what to look for and all that kind of stuff when it comes to relationships. So we work with both. We're all about establishing healthy connections because we know that basically each person, the more relationships we have that are healthy, the better it is for our community. And we also know that that starts with one person at a time. So we're all about, helping people to build the relationship with themselves so that they can have the best relationships with everybody in their network.
Awesome. Thank
Including
you for highlighting that. Thank you. Because I think a lot of times people are trying to do that healthy relationships with the expectations that other people are supposed to change, but they don't necessarily do a lot of the work within themselves. And so things kind of flop along the way. So that's always a big to do. All right, Monica, Carol Ann, y'all want to add to that?
Mm-mm.
She's like, I'm coming later. Okay.
I like too that we are doing a lot more like speaking engagements. We also train therapists to be competent, based on cultural differences in relationships. And, we do events. We like to host events. So we like to do fun stuff, and have people come join us, and couples have things to do together so that they can continue to build those quality that quality time in their relationships.
Okay, so you're saying it's important to have some fun in here. Okay. Dr. Kia, did you have something else you wanted to add? No. Okay, so you all have kind of said what you do. We have some people saying hello. Marquita, Yvette, Latasha, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. Please share so that others can tune in with us tonight. All right, so let's get this discussion going. If you can elaborate for me, one of the biggest challenges that couples may have when it comes to having healthy relationships with one another. Like, what's the biggest challenge that you see where it's one of those hurdles that it may take several sessions or several meetings to kind of get them to cross over to understand, oh, this is what they've been trying to get me to understand to make my relationships better.
You said one thing.
Okay, you can say several. We have 30 minutes. It's gonna go by quick, but I want to maximize this time. And for the listeners, if you find yourself in here, please have a pen and paper, paper handy, and write down what helps you, please. So tell me the 3.
I would say, I think it's hard for couples to realize, like, once they get past the point of all the warm, fuzzy, extra fluffy that comes in the beginning, it's hard for them to sometimes realize that the differences don't mean that the relationship won't work or that it's not a good relationship. The differences are actually strengths that you can build on in the relationship. And sometimes because they might be saying something and it sounds different, doesn't always necessarily mean that it is different. They might be saying exactly the same thing and agreeing, but saying it in different ways. So sometimes it's just about getting them to the point of understanding what the other person is saying and what the other person means. And so they might say it differently or respond differently, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're like being oppositional or not on their side or, but definitely getting to understanding.
I think that's really good. Dr. Oliver T. Reed, in his book, he talks about, it's called Manhandled, and he talks about knowing how to speak the same code or understanding the code language that your mate is speaking when they're not responding or when they're actually saying something. And when you have an understanding of how to speak their language, it helps you to better communicate with one another. But if you don't understand how that person communicates, it can definitely create some barriers.
And that takes time. I think people think it's supposed to happen like right away. For meant to be will click and it's just going to happen right now and all this chemistry and we know everything. No, it doesn't. It takes time.
So it's not a fantasy.
No, those movies like Hallmark that I've been watching.
She's telling y'all stop watching the Hallmark channel and thinking it's real. Y'all better slow down. That's okay. All right. So that's one area. Okay. What are some other areas that you guys have found to be a challenge?
I definitely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just piggybacking off of what Carol Ann was saying, like the communication definitely and taking that time to understand. Sometimes, people let things build up in relationships so that, like there's that tendency to just wanting to stay in that romantic space and not causing any ruffles, not ruffling any feathers. So not, saying what really needs to be said or just letting things be swept under the carpet. And so that can allow a lot of negativity to build up within yourself because you feel like, I can handle it. I'm a strong person. But over time, you may become resentful or just feel very negative towards your partner. And so therefore it becomes challenging for you to see the positive in your partner. And it's very important for you to definitely see that positivity in your partner so that you can feel like, okay, this person is going to be someone I can talk to, that, we can have some understanding and this is not the enemy. I'm not sleeping with the enemy.
Right.
So,
That's a big one. I think a lot of times when there is friction, people automatically begin to think in catastrophic terms, and they do start to see their mate as the enemy, because it feels like, oh gosh, it's the end of the world, and it's helping them to understand that those things are temporary if you want them to be, meaning how you respond to that situation and what's happening in that moment. And so you really got to get them to see it from a healthy perspective. It's like a cold, it will pass. It's not unto death. So you got to push through, take the medicine you need, and kind of get back on the wagon and get up the next day and do what you have to do and be intentional about it.
Yeah.
So if they can see that bigger picture, I think it's helpful.
Right. And definitely spending that time, taking your time and spending that time to have those conversations and taking the time to understand each other's, the way that, like you were saying, the way that each other thinks about different things, and just your, how to talk, how both of you communicate, and how you can really just, work together to get through that.
So would that be number 3? And for those of you that are just tuning in, we are live with the Relationship Boosters, Dr. Kia, Monica, and Carol Ann. They are awesome and they know it, and I appreciate them. And they are dropping some nuggets. So hopefully you are writing this stuff down. If you have a question, please put it in the comments. If you like what you're hearing, put it in the comments. If it doesn't make sense, put it in the comments, okay? We have 17 more minutes and we want to get some more information, okay, guys? So please continue to stay tuned. And Dr. Reed is actually on with us. So thank you, Dr. Oliver, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. So I wanted to piggyback on what you were talking about. So let's talk about the whole, I guess, how people see the relationship overall. How do they get beyond that place of that pain for the ones who have a challenge doing that? Because we're talking about the ones who we can say, okay, yes, temporary, but what about those people long-term who cannot shake this? How do you get them to a place of healthy in their perception, in their communication? How do you help them get there?
So I think for us, sometimes it's about taking them back to the basics, right? There was something that kind of got you to be in that relationship with that person in the first place. And unless it was something forced, it's definitely, something good that was going on between you and that person, that helped you to feel like this is the person I want to be in a relationship with. So sometimes it's just about going back to the basics of friendship, and seeing that person as your friend again. So doing those things that friends do to kind of build that up. So, if you haven't had any conversations in a while, just to check in with each other and what's going on in each other's world, then maybe that's what you need to do, right? You need to just have more of those conversations. Really, it's about having a good balance, a good ratio of positive events with that person compared to the negatives, right? And it takes, 5 positives to kind of outweigh 1 negative.
Yeah.
So you really got to ramp up the positive interactions. And you can do that while being friends, making sure you're spending time with each other, making sure you're doing little gestures. It all starts with the small stuff.
Yeah.
So you're saying slow things down and get connected. Okay. I like that.
Right. And also paying attention to the positive things that are going on, because sometimes when people get into that negative spin, they can point out every negative thing, but not necessarily the positives. So it's helping them to reestablish, or even recognize that there are positive things that are going on, and we need to highlight those so that we don't get into that imbalance of just focusing on all the bad things.
I like that. That's good. Helping them to kind of be positive and walk in a place of gratitude for what they are doing well. Okay. Monica?
I think that, over time, definitely people change. People, as you get older, as you grow together, you can change. Like your interests, your likes are not going to be the same as they were, several years ago. And so it's important for them to be able to connect on each other's level in terms of understanding what's going on in their world now. And so that's part of that friendship, really understanding, okay, what is it that you do like? You know, what are the things that interest you now? What are the things that, you know, make you tick? And really just sitting back and listening to understand, you know, the things that maybe you were missing, you know, overall all those years. But it is very helpful to just have people come together and just talk about, you know, like Caroline was saying, the basics of like, what is going on in my world right now that you may not understand or that you may have looked over, and not do it from a place of it's, you know, a competition, but just a place of, you know, oh, I missed that. So, and then being curious, you know, showing curiosity about those things that that are coming out of your partner's mouth, and not judgment.
That's right. No judgment and love, safe spaces, right?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So what I want you to do is go a little bit deeper into the whole piece of individuals and couples evolving over time, because a lot of times one or both partners sometimes will work from that mindset that they're supposed to be in the same place that they were when they met, having that expectation that that person is the same, and that they have not evolved over time. Can you kind of speak to helping them understand that you're growing or that they're growing, and that they may respond to things differently than they did when they first met? Or like you said, they may be going through some things. How do you help them understand how to connect with them when there is a challenge versus seeing it as, oh, just get through that. You know, we're not done with that yet. You know, as we get older, emotions increase, you know, we start to respond differently to things. We may not be as strong emotionally as we used to be. Things that didn't bother us in the past, they now piss us off, right? So we change, and that person that a kiss or, you know, getting busy in the bedroom probably solved the problem 5 years ago. That's not the answer to it, right? And so can you talk a little bit about helping them understanding what that evolving looks like and how to connect with one another to see what is happening? I know that was kind of a long question, but I think you got it. So.
I think it really goes back to even helping each person share, even think about how they have changed over the years to be able to be more empathic about maybe how their significant other has changed over the years. Because I think that when people are able to see stuff like from their own perspective and what's happening with them and what was important to them, you know, 15 years ago may not be important to them today. I think that that helps them to recognize, okay, so since I'm changing, how can I expect for my significant other to be the same person that they were 15 years ago? And one of the things that we do in our sessions is also to help people to understand why things impact them differently now. So like going deeper and understanding the story behind why specific things trigger me. Why is this very difficult for me? You know, whether it's something that's happening, you know, in the recent past, or if it's something that happened, you know, even when they were younger that may trigger them now. So, you know, we help them to bridge that gap so that they can understand that maybe some of this is because of what's going on between us, but maybe some of this is also because of something that has happened, you know, 15 years ago. And so the more that I understand who I'm dealing with and, you know, the things that impact them, the better I can relate to them, the better I can connect with them. Like all of those things kind of like come in line together.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, definitely. I would say establishing some sort of ritual around that particular check-in, because I feel like people just take that for granted, that they're gonna know, that they're gonna recognize something, or that if a change happens, that it's something personal, but maybe it really isn't about that other person. It's about what the individual is going through.
Right.
So establishing a ritual is that time of year right now. It's holiday season. People are getting together their 2020 goals and New Year's resolutions and all these things, right? You can establish that relationship ritual just around, hey, let's at the end of the year, let's check in to see how we think we've changed. What are some things that have impacted us during the course of the year? So you get a sense, because sometimes people don't know day to day necessarily.
That's
But
right.
you know, sitting back and reflecting and having that common ritual that's now your relationship's
Right.
tradition, you know, is something that you guys do. That feels good, right? That feels like this is ours to do. And you get to learn the person, and you get to recognize that there's going to be growth and their goals that each individual has, and that they're going to have as a couple.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, making it something that they can focus on within their relationship. So pulling together and growing from their strengths, doing things that are really personal to them. And there's definitely a tendency to compare. Like, you know, you look at what Johnny and Jody are doing online on their social media, especially during this time of year. You know, there's a lot of people buying nice things, and it seems like everyone is just perfect. And so there's that tendency to compare your relationship. So particularly if you're going through a negative time in your relationship, or you're in a negative space, you know, you have to be mindful not to allow those negative things to seep into your relationship.
That's right.
Ooh, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes. Yes. Stay away from comparing your life to those highlight reels on social media. People are going through real life behind the screen. So be mindful. You know, I'm grateful that they're not putting everything on social media, right? But don't let that be a smokescreen for you to think that they're not going through life. And so things will definitely come your way. We're not exempt from it. It's all about how you choose to handle it. And so everyone, y'all have it. Are y'all getting this good information? I really do hope you are. This is some good stuff. So we have, let's see who's on real quick, and get ready for your, you know, takeaways for the folks. Okay. Miss Tasha Matthews, Jennifer, Shimona, Yvette, Pastor Peyton Gray is watching. Brother Russell, Nisi, Evangelist Cynthia Brown, Althea, Talea Stewart Green Smith is watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's see what they have to say. Awesome information. Learn to build on differences. It's important to say what you need. Don't let things build up. I love what I'm hearing. Great information. Get back to the basics. Friendship is key. Recognize the positives. Show curiosity about what interests your mate has. And then establish some relationship rituals. So they're basically plugging in everything that you ladies have been saying. So for everyone tuning in, we are with the Relationship Boosters. We literally have about 6 minutes left. So if you have questions, this is the time to throw them in there. If not, I'm going to let them just continue to take over and give you some tools that will help you in day 1 of our 31 days of healthy relationship tips. So, ladies, are there any areas that you feel is burning on the inside that you want to share with couples that will help them have healthy relationships with one another?
I would say that healthy couples actually understand that disagreements are supposed to happen, that the relationship grows from disagreements, because disagreements gives you another point of view and position to look at a situation, and even a different way to see your partner. And also that like 69% of relationship problems are based on perpetual differences, like characteristic kind of differences and things that you are not gonna change in that person, that like that person truly has to decide. So making up your mind on and knowing that there are going to be disagreements. If you go in expecting that they're not going to be disagreements, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment and failures. It's figuring out how you're going to deal with those disagreements and manage the conflict, and understanding your partner so that you can manage the conflict well.
Good stuff.
And yourself.
Absolutely. That's important. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
ladies.
think that sometimes people think, like she's saying, that you're supposed to agree on all of these things. But I always say, like, if y'all agree on every single thing, somebody is a liar. Like, there is no way that
Y'all
two
hear that?
people agree on everything. So, it's important to want your significant other to be honest with you and share with you, if they don't agree, or if they, you don't want to be putting yourself in harm's way and they just co-sign on it. Yeah, go ahead
That's
and do
true.
X, Y, and Z. Knowing you can't
No.
sing, right? Go ahead and get on American Idol. Do your best, boo. No, I'm gonna
Wait a
need
minute. You telling me I can't go on American Idol?
No.
Look,
Sit down,
Mm.
babe. Just sit down, go
be
sing in the
honest and
shower.
say, like, you might need some voice lessons, right? You might
Not
need
in the
something.
shower.
Don't say-
The shower has the best acoustics. I don't care what anybody says. I
We're gonna
can
rock
do
out at
tenor,
karaoke.
alto, and soprano in the shower. Out the shower. I'm like, what happened? You back in the choir, girl. You in the choir.
That sounded so good a minute ago in the
Right.
shower.
It's like, whoo. And you just be like, Lord, that must be the anointing. Thank you.
Right. Denial.
You're right, though. I mean, I think honesty is key. It is. I think you do have to be honest. You have to be realistic. I'm not gonna lie. There are moments I do want to kind of be on the fairy tale boat because it does feel good. But I also understand that reality does set in, and you're not going to agree. And that's one of the things I do talk about with couples is one having the ability to feel safe in conflict. There has to be some level of comfort in conflict. Like you said, no judgment. You have to feel comfortable talking to your mate about things.
Absolutely.
If it does not feel safe, that is a problem. That means that there is no true balance going on in that relationship. And so you have to be able to say, hey, I'm struggling, or hey, I don't understand what's going on. So I think that's key. Thank you. Monica, I'm going to let you give us your
So I think
takeaway.
that's a good way to look at if you're just always agreeable in the relationship and you're not speaking up and really being honest. That's a sign that you may need to look at the relationship a lot closer, because you can be agreeable and then keep being agreeable, and then years later you're feeling resentful because you've always been feeling like you're the one that gives in. That agreeableness turns into gives in. And then you're, upset now because your spouse doesn't want to, listen to what you're saying, or doesn't really, feel like you should be trying to compromise because you've been so agreeable all along. And I have worked with couples to where one of the other person becomes resentful, and then they want to get out of the relationship because they're feeling claustrophobic, because now they want to speak their mind, and it always turns into an argument.
Not received because you haven't been using your voice all along. And I think it's important that you do start off. Right.
It doesn't always have to be that it's an argument, but because you're so afraid of conflict and you want to just be the peaceful one, now you are feeling like it's going to be a conflict. And so you go into the conversation feeling like, let's get ready for attack.
Right. Right. And so, hey, Paul. He just jumped on with us. He is traveling all over. You all will see Paul Williams tomorrow night. He will be joining me live at 8 p.m. sharp. And so, y'all, this has been amazing. 30 minutes goes by really fast, but we needed people to have some information. I think it's good to drop a few nuggets so that give them something to think about. We don't want to scare them. And so, because then it feels like homework, right? They're like, oh man. But before we close out, let me just see if anyone is saying anything that we need to address. First Lady Tandra Reed says, suppose honesty hurts. It may. You ladies want to address that real quick before we close out? She says, what happens if honesty hurts?
Yes, honesty might actually hurt. It might actually cause you a little pain hearing some things and hearing the truth about the situation. Really, it's about to take a step back from that feeling though, and pay attention to who's giving you that information and why are they giving you that information? Is this something that's totally out to cut you and hurt you, and is this what they're doing, or is this your partner and your friend, and they have something that they're trying to help you understand, and they're just trying to share something with you. So really, it's about taking a step back. Now, that person, their delivery might be off, and we work with couples on that as well. Where having a delivery where somebody else could actually hear it, packaging it. But overall, you still got to think about, who is this person that's giving me this information? They're not out on the street. This is the person that I'm sleeping next to, or is supposed to be a very good friend of mine. So let me pay attention to that.
Awesome. Paul says, we need relationship homework. Yeah, I just said that, Paul. This is homework. I'm hoping people are taking this stuff away and they're going to use it. So yeah, and then get your homework assignment ready too, so that you can give them that tomorrow. Thank you. And so, ladies, let me say thank you for joining me tonight. But before we go, I need you to tell people where they can find you on social media and what is coming up next for you. These ladies are doing it, y'all. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to know them before the fame and now during the fame. And so I'm like, I know them. I know some really cool people. So thank you. But tell me and tell the viewers how they can find you. I love you guys too. Oh my God.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. How can people find you?
Go ahead, Carolyn.
Oh, I really feel like pulling a Mo and Curly right now through the screen. You can find us on Instagram at relationship _boosters, on Instagram, on Facebook at the Relationship Boosters. And those are the two main platforms where you can find us. And what else did you ask us?
What is coming up next for you guys?
We have a women's healing group coming up for women who are healing through the holidays, positioning themselves for relationships as well as getting over like heartbreak and things like that. And we also have the Ultimate Intimacy program that's coming up that's specifically geared towards helping couples to improve the physical and the intimacy in their relationship over 20 have coming up, because we're trying to get ready for 2020. We need people to be healthy for 2020.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if they click the link in our bio at Instagram, they can get into those groups.
Awesome. All right. And anything else coming up? We good?
Well,
it's
not in the immediate future. However, we are going to do Black Marriage Week. That is going to be coming up in March. So stay tuned for that, because we're all about helping people build strong relationships, and especially focusing on some specific cultural issues related to the Black community with relationships. So we'll be doing that in March.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys, you heard it here. I can't say first, but you heard it here. And so, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. The Relationship Boosters, Dr. Kia, Monica, and Carol Ann. I so appreciate you, and I know the viewers do as well. Thank you for helping me kick off 31 days of healthy relationship tips for couples. This week is all couples, everyone.
Our pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.